There's a belief that I see even among smart, capable, caring people, and it goes like this. Jen, my stuff is pretty straightforward. I don't have a lot of wealth. My family isn't complicated, so I shouldn't have to spend a lot of money on my estate plan, right? Well, the reality is when you cut corners on your estate plan, it's your family that pays the price. Hi, I'm Jen Gumble. I'm a probate attorney. I've been doing that for close to 20 years, and I meet with families after a death. So I have worked through hundreds of estate plans. Some of them work, some of them don't. My insights have been shared with the Wall Street Journal, Slate, and public radio. I've taught attorneys from across the country how this stuff works, but the most important thing I can do is teach you how this works. And I do that through online videos like this one and online courses. Well, so let's dig into why even simple, straightforward situations need to be taken seriously. You have to understand that the system doesn't start out by looking at the documents you have. It looks at what's stuck in your name. Now, some things are going to move automatically with a surviving joint owner or a listed beneficiary, and those things won't listen to your will. That's important to understand. What does? It's the things that are stuck in probate, the things that are left in your name that have to go through some sort of legal process to get to the next step. That's what wills are for. Your other stuff won't even listen to it. But it's important to get that will correct. If you don't, then there are going to be legal fees that could have easily been avoided if you had done it correctly. See, when there isn't a will, then the state's going to fill in the blanks for those assets that are stuck. And basically every state has its backup will for everybody. And it doesn't fit everyone. And even for kind of the normal situation, there are a lot of provisions that absolutely no one would want. These things are not set up to meet your family situation, your personal values, and ultimately what your goals are. So it's important to have a good will in place, but that is not going to prevent probate. And here's why probate is so bad. See, if you have enough stuck in your name, meaning your will is dealing with a lot of assets, then you have to go through the court system, and that is public and bureaucratic. What does that look like? Well, bureaucracy means there's a lot of steps you have to take, and they're needed. If there are a decent amount of assets stuck in a deceased person's name, the government needs to make sure that those assets end up in the right hands. So there are legal hoops that have to be followed. And a lot of them are things that you cannot get out of no matter how normal your family is and how well they get along. Things like publication, waiting for creditor periods to see who might think they're owed money, inviting everyone to the table, no matter who is in a will or out of the will. Then know that the process is public. That means documents are easily found online. And for those states that allow cameras in a courtroom, that video is public. And we are starting to see families that don't quite get along anymore like they used to. Even people who are completely normal and not famous. Well, that content is interesting to online content creators. So you don't want your family anywhere near this. How do you avoid that? Well, you want things to move automatically. That's how you avoid the costly, time-consuming, and stressful probate process. And a lot of people have started to figure this out. So they start to put the people that they want to get their assets as individual beneficiaries on their asset. Remember, those things go automatically. And that sounds great and easy, but there's a catch. See, when things move automatically to people, there's no rules. So no one has any responsibility or direction to pay for your expenses. There's no clarity on management. If something happens to your beneficiary and they pass away, there's no direction on who replaces them. And there is no protection from your beneficiary's creditors or their divorce. This is why people do trust. A trust is a legal document that simply lays out rules about ownership, things like who's in charge, who gets paid, and who gets what when. So instead of assets going straight to a beneficiary who has no legal duty to handle anything, it goes to a trustee who has to follow the rules you set up. That's how things stay orderly. And quite honestly, I really like using them. This is something I go into more depth on with my Organized Afterlife Workshop students. But for now, just understand that all of this is a legal strategy. It's why we need to stop thinking about estate planning as getting legal forms easy, cheaply, and conveniently. You need to start thinking about it as determining the right strategy for your family and getting good legal documents to set that strategy up in place. And this is true for anybody, because even a house and a little bit of savings can cost thousands of dollars in legal fees, delays, and stress that you can avoid with a good legal strategy. But your system has to be designed and, importantly, implemented correctly. So a good plan isn't going to be cheap. But something that I've seen over and over again is that a bad legal strategy or an incomplete one or a strategy that just isn't followed, well, that's going to be far more expensive for your loved ones. Join me in the next video. We'll dive deeper and we'll talk about how to approach estate planning in the right way.